Sticking in Division II, Friday Night Lights at Davidson Field back on. Corona Del Mar, the 11 seed, hosting the 3 seed, the Orange Lutheran Lancers, out of the Trinity League. Any Trinity League opponent, whether you finish 5th in the league like Orange Lutheran or whether you win the league like Mater Dei, it's always going to be a tough draw, and CDM's going to have their hands full on Friday night. We caught up with junior linebacker Mason Kubicek, and he told us, don't worry, Corona Del Mar's got the best defensive coaches in the state.
I believe we got the best defensive coaches in the high school sports specifically, and they put together a great game plan this week. We just got to execute.
Well, I agree with Mason about the quality of those defensive coaches at CDM, and I would take it a step further. I think the entire staff is top quality and rivals everybody in California. But I think he's spot on, and what's big about that is CDM is going to make you pay for your mistakes. They're going to force you into takeaways. They're going to make it tough on you. They're going to mix up their looks. They rotate pre-snap from a 2-high safety to a 1-high safety, so they're very well coached. They mix up the looks on you, and if you make a mistake, CDM is going to capitalize.
Now let's talk about the Corona Del Mar offense. They won in very exciting fashion against Warren High School last Friday. Cooper Hoke, 2 touchdown catches at the end of the game, including a Hail Mary on 4th and 18 from David Rasor. Our reporter Chris Babona was at CDM practice today to catch up with Rasor and Hoke and talk to them about the big catch last week.
What does a game like you had last Friday and to come down with those catches, how does that affect your confidence as a pass catcher?
Game was last Friday, so that's in the past now. We're on the next week. We got Olu, so I'm just ready for this week.
Yeah, that was a big-time play for us and as a team, but we have a 24-hour rule. We celebrated, we had fun, all the videos were really cool, but now we're just focused on Olu and focused on the next week.
Now, Howard, I wanted to tee that clip up because I love a chance to talk about Dan O'Shea, Coach Hedig's culture that they instill at Corona Del Mar. These players, on social media, we've been talking about the Cooper Hoke Hail Mary catch, the David Rasor pass, the comeback. We've been talking about it on social media all week. We've been retweeting videos of it all week. As you heard Rasor say, they got a 24-hour rule. I love the culture. Forget about that. Throw that catch away. What does it matter? Warren was last week. We're taking on Olu this Friday. And I love a chance to talk about that we over me, that selfless culture, that forget the newspaper clippings culture that Coach O'Shea has installed. But X's and O's, let's talk about the CDM offense. What's it going to take for them to score against a stingy Olu defense that held Simi Valley to 13 points in their opening round game?
Well, if I'm CDM, I'm starting with the running game. I'm starting with Evan Sanders. He is Mr. Reliable, always gets yards on the ground, has become a very reliable receiver in the second half of the season. Lots of receiving touchdowns, always one of the leading guys in terms of yards. So for me, it starts with Evan Sanders, and if we're shouting out Evan Sanders, we got to look at that offensive line. This is going to be a big test for them. They're facing a Trinity League opponent that's going to be big, strong, and fast on the D-line. So the CDM offensive line, they're going to have to hold their water, hold their weight, and make room for Evan Sanders to run through, make room for David Rasor to do the RPOs and to keep the ball on the designed runs. It's going to be a tough test, just like Los Al was a tough test, and CDM did pretty good. It's going to take another one of those performances on the ground. Let's get Evan Sanders up around 100 yards because we're still going to be giving the ball to Tipton, Hoke, Lane, Truninger, these guys that we love week after week, making an impact in the passing game. But for me, everything is going to start up front, controlling the line of scrimmage and controlling the clock, which is going to be a huge test against this big physical Orange Lutheran defense.
Well, we know that everything for every football team starts and ends in the trenches, but it's obviously such a point of emphasis for CDM. So it'll be great to see that pillar of their program tested on Friday night. And like you said, they did pretty good against Los Al. They're going to have to do better than pretty good to move on to the semifinals after this big, tough game against Orange Lutheran. So we're always excited for a Trinity League, Sunset League matchup. We'll see how the Sea Kings fare at home on Friday.